So, a fresh new week has arrived, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every week, I post an episode of the series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you, the viewers, to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week, based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week, we got to watch more big games and big matchups go down, the standings have continued to take shape, and some interesting developments are unfolding, so we definitely have plenty to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now. So if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I'd also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Darion, and he says that Nikola Jokic should not be the favorite to win the MVP this year due to previous season's hypocrisies. Nikola Jokic's consistent greatness is well understood by now, to the point where the ridiculous feats that he pulls off night in and night out just start to seem standard for him. He's already a 3-time winner of the MVP award in his career, and somehow he's still getting better, with this current season seeing him somehow elevating his production across the board. Jokic right now is averaging a career-high 30 points per game, he's leading the NBA in rebounding, he's dishing out a career-high in assists per game as well, and he's shooting a career-best 50% from 3. Obviously, I don't think all of these things are necessarily sustainable to the fullest over an 82-game season, but it's still looking like he's in for one of the best years of his career, if not the best individually, and because of that, there is definitely a good reason to have him ranked at number 1 in a current MVP race. I do, however, see the point of the original poster that he's making here and believe that it is valid given the circumstances. Jokic has been in some tight MVP races over the last 5 years, with the rationale for why he has gotten the edge over varying other players season to season differing, and it is correct that last season the biggest reason why Jokic took home the award over Luka Doncic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is that he had the better individual production than SGA, and he led his team to more wins than Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. Right now, the Nuggets are currently sitting in 8th place in the Western Conference standings though, which, after spending a whole season talking about how an MVP can't come from a lower seed, does come off as a bit hypocritical. The problem with any of these definitive arguments is that everything needs to be taken case by case, and people just don't like to do that. This season, there just is not any other player on the top seeds that come close to matching Jokic's otherworldly production, and to win MVP, I'm sorry, but you do have to have the numbers to back it up like Jokic has. Giannis Antetokounmpo is probably the next best MVP candidate so far this season, also having a career year, but his Bucks team is barely above 500. If Luka Doncic can get back to producing a near triple-double nightly while scoring over 30 points per game like he did last year, while his Mavericks team remains near the top of the West like they are right now, then I could definitely see him breaking into the conversation. But otherwise, all of this is why the hypocrisy of the conversation can be justified. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Cool Guy, and he says that Tyrese Maxey is starting to become very overrated. The Sixers as a whole are having a disastrous start to the season, sitting in 14th place in the East standings with very few bright spots to point to. Injuries have plagued Joel Embiid and Paul George, the role players can't shoot, and even Tyrese Maxey himself is playing well below the standard that he's set for himself in prior years. Despite being thrust into much more of a lead role this season due to the circumstances, he's actually scoring fewer points per game than he did last year, averaging about 25 a night. But the most worrying part of it all is that his efficiency has fallen off a cliff. Maxey used to be one of the most efficient volume scorers, but this year he's making just 40% of his shots from the field and 30% of his shots from 3, well below league average. Some may be willing to just write it off as a slump, but the truth may be a bit more uncomfortable to address. With the state of the Sixers, many people love to call for the team to just blow it up and quote-unquote build around Maxey. The problem is that Maxey probably is not a player that can handle the duties of a number one go-to guy that can be built around. Maxey has always been at his best playing alongside Joel Embiid and James Harden when Harden was a Sixer, benefiting greatly from the attention that defenses gave to those guys. When Maxey becomes the focal point of the opposition, he genuinely struggles in a way where he plays more out of control, he takes way too many tough contested shots, and he doesn't have the court vision or passing talent to run the point full time. To put it simply, Maxey has definitely become a bit overrated by the average fan based on the conversations that he was having had about himself as of late. The good news is that the truth about what Maxey is as a player is that he's definitely an outstanding number 2 option that can have some explosive scoring nights when he doesn't have to be the one leading the team, and that's still incredibly valuable in and of itself. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Kiriko, and he says that the Orlando Magic can win the East this season and match up well with the best of the rest. The Magic are probably the most slept-on successful squad in the NBA at the moment, currently sitting in 3rd place in the East, tearing it up over the last few weeks. This young team has emerged as a playoff squad last year and is now taking yet another leap forward, and in many ways they are solidifying themselves as one of the best teams in the conference. The most impressive part of all of this is the fact that they're dominating without their leading scorer Paolo Banchero, who dropped 50 points in a game against the Pacers earlier this season. Banchero has been out for about a month now, and yet in the last 15 games, the Magic have won 13 of them without him, and Franz Wagner is taking an all-star leap of his own. When Paolo comes back and gives the offense another lethal scoring threat alongside a more confident than ever Franz Wagner, they should definitely improve at least a little bit from being the 22nd ranked offense, which is where they're ranked right now. Their success has always stemmed from the defensive side of the ball, as the league's 3rd best defense right now, and that kind of play bodes well for playoff success. But the reason why I'm still skeptical about buying in on them going all the way is because even when Banchero returns, they're still ranked dead last in 3-point shooting this season. There's no getting around the fact that the 3-ball dominates long-term success in today's NBA, and you just won't be able to keep up with a team like Cleveland or Boston, who not only take a ton of threes every game, but both rank in the top 10 in 3-point shooting. A great defense can cover up holes, but you just won't win a championship being dead last in one of the most important parts of modern basketball. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.